Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast, episode 36, season 2. I'm your host, Pete Costanis. I'm glad you can join me today. And we have an interesting show coming up. And this program is brought to you by Boston Sea Party Seafood Restaurant. And here is a commercial from 1983.
Feast your eyes on the Boston Sea Party Feast. We give you all this for one price. It's a celebration of seafood.
Celebrate the Boston Sea Party.
Okay, I am back. I'm glad you enjoyed that commercial for Boston Sea Party. I remember this restaurant. It was around the early 1980s in Chicago. I'll give you a brief history about the restaurant. And Boston Sea Party was a chain, and it started around in the year 1976, around during the U.S. bicentennial. And what's special about that, it had a 1770s theme. Of course, like around when Independence Day became a holiday on July 4th, 1776, and the waitresses wore floor-length colonial dresses with ruffled mop caps. Well, I don't know if they liked wear. I don't know if any of the women that worked at waitresses enjoyed wearing that, but it gives a certain charm. I can understand that. And the menu consisted of all-you-can-eat seafood, and it was a buffet with an entree of choice of lobster, prime rib, or fish. And I have the menu up right here, and I'll read off a few items, and let's see what it says here. Yeah, so it broke down to peers. I don't know what that really meant because I've never been to this place, so I'm sure people will listen in. And I posted the menu a long time ago on my page on Van Chicagoland on Facebook. And they also had, let's see what they had. They had seafood chowder, they had shrimp, oysters, bowls of caviar. And let's see, for the entrees, they had sea scallops, poached scrod, crisp fried oysters, and also Alaskan king crab legs. Wonderful. You also find barbecue ribs, oysters Rockefeller, steamed clams, corn on the cob, and of course Maine lobsters, which I mentioned before. Also, they had steak or choice of rib beef au jus. I don't know how you pronounce it. I can't pronounce that thing. So you had a choice of New York strip steak or that rib of beef au jus, and they also had desserts. So they had fine cheese, an elaborate array of fine cheeses, fresh fruit, freshly baked pastries, cheesecake, old-fashioned strawberry shortcake. Oh, I love that when it was in season. And also, you had wine and coffee, tea, any beverage you like. So that sounds wonderful. Uh, it didn't really last long in Chicago. There were two locations. One was in Morton Grove and in Carroll Stream. And I think a lot of people remember the one in Carroll Stream. And I don't know when they closed. So they were probably here probably a few years. And then they were scattered in the United States. And the last one was probably they went out of business in the late 1990s. But probably I know there's one in a famous one in Atlanta in the Buckhead community, and the restaurant was in a historic farmhouse. The decor consists of beautiful stained glass windows, and from a church they acquired, a wine cellar, and one dining room with old brick floors. And it's that sounded beautiful. If you go to a place that in colonial times, you go to Jamestown, Virginia, or Boston, Massachusetts. What else? Like Washington D.C. and you visit, or Philadelphia, which I've been there, and it's a beautiful city, very historical. I went to see the Liberty Bell. That was fun. And so that's a shame. So today people still remember it, and we've had seafood restaurants. They're still around like that, but this was unique. So that's very nice. Okay, and I want to mention that the clips that you hear on my podcast, they're credited by the Fuzzy TV Museum, or is it, excuse me, Fuzzy Museum TV by Rick Klein. And if you have an old VHS tape from the late 90s, I mean, excuse me, from the 80s or early 90s, even earlier, yeah, he loves to collect them. You can shoot him an email. He's at rick@fuzzy.tv. So if you have old VHS tapes lying around, you can donate them to him, or if you have any questions, just email to him. Okay? All right. So the next thing we talk about is Karoll's Red Hanger Shops. Now, I'll give you a little history of that. And let's see. So that opened, it was located on State Street on the corner of Randolph. And it opened, the address was at 36 North State Street. And it opened on October 17th, 1948. And the man who founded the business, his name was Herb Karoll. It was spelled Karollo. And he had other locations in the Chicagoland area. One was at 348 East 47th Street, 1240 South Halsted Street, which was at around Maxwell Street, and of course at 3201 West 63rd Street in the Marquette Park neighborhood. And there was another one, and it was at Ford City Shopping Center, which I remember fondly. I don't know what year it opened, probably in the late 60s. And I remember the beautiful clothes they had, beautiful suits, ties, shirts. Oh, quality, beautiful quality. And it was a very nice store. I remember the commercials on television, and Carol's it was called Carol's Menswear. That's what they call it, or men's store. Uh, I remember. I think when I was in grade school, I think my mother took me there to Fort City to buy probably a suit. I think she did. Probably not. I don't remember. I have to ask her, but I do remember buying I remember her buying some shirts and some ties, and she said she loved that store, and the customer service was wonderful. And also, that business is sort of still around. I'll explain in a second. And the store is located, let's see, where's the address? Here it is, at 175 North Franklin Street, and it's called Richard Bennett Custom Tailors and Shirt Makers. And the man who owns this store and is his grandson, Albert Carroll. And so he probably learned from his grandfather, his father, and so he carried on the business. It's not called Carol's anymore, but they still have suits and ties and shirts and alterations. There's a tailor in the store. If you need alterations, you can. They could do that for you when you purchase a suit. You don't find many places like that anymore. The last time that happened to me is I bought a suit at Carson Perry Scott in Orland Park. And it was a beautiful suit. And the man who waited on me said that we don't do alterations here. We do it at another location, which is odd. They don't do them in the store. So that was changing. And I said, fine. So I left my suit there to be altered. I waited for a few days, and then they contacted me at home, and I picked it up, and it was beautiful. So sometimes it's hard to find a place for alterations. At independent stores, or department stores, which are fading away, and it's a shame. So that business I just mentioned is located at 175 North Franklin in the Chicago Loop, and it sounds very nice. I still love to dress up, but for special occasions, suit makes the man. You look so elegant and very handsome and debonair. You know, I guess that's the way I am. Okay, so the last thing I will talk about is the history of Channel 66 WGBO, and it has an interesting. It has an interesting history with a lot of format changes with that. So first, it was called WFBN, and that went on the air in September 18th, 1981, and it was a public access. They ran public access programs during the day, and they also had a subscription television service called Spectrum. I'm sure people remember that during the night. So, right now I will play two, what do they call it? Station ID bumpers. One is for WFBN TV channel 66, and the other one is WGBO TV channel 66, Super 66, if you remember the Logan. So I'm going to play those two right now.
Channel 66, WFBN Joliet.
Chicago's Superstation, WGBO TV.
Okay, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed those station ID bumpers. I want to, before I start talking about Channel 66, I want to mention the Carroll's Red Hanger Shop. It was founded by his name was Samuel Carroll. Excuse me, and for him and his brothers in 1929 formed Herbert's Men's Shops, and then they sold the company and opened Carroll's Red Hanger Shops in the 1940s. So that's how it started. I apologize for neglecting to mention that about in the beginning of the story about Carroll's Men's Wear Store, which is Carroll's Red Hanger Store. I remember the red hangers. I found a couple of them on eBay. I posted them on my Fan Chicagoland Facebook page a long time ago, and those are very rare. They're very pretty. Okay, now we get back to Channel 66, which I mentioned before. First, it was the call letters for WFBN. The first one on the air in September 18th, 1981. And then during the nighttime hours, it ran Spectrum programming. It was a subscription television, like on TV, which aired on Channel 44, WSNS TV, excuse me. And but that debuted on Channel 44 in 1980. So that was and I sensed some competition. So they were rivals. So I'll give you a brief history about Spectrum. Okay, and Spectrum, it was only available in two cities in the United States, in Chicago and Minneapolis, St. Paul. I'm surprised about that. They also, they also aired in the Cincinnati and Dayton area in Ohio. Would use the on TV brand. That's very interesting. Okay, and the company was owned by United Cable. I tried to search on do a Google search about that company. I couldn't find anything, which was interesting. And I also wanted to find a scrambler box. You could find a scrambler box, unscrambled box, excuse me, on TV. I think I've seen them on eBay for sale, and but not Spectrum. The closest I get is like a part of a program guide. I want to find that too. That's very rare to find because it was only in business for a little while. So anyway, and by 1983, they had 60,000 subscribers. Very small potatoes compared to on TV, which had 125,000, and it did not turn a profit. So also in Chicago, they launched that. No, I'm sorry. United Cable, the company that owns Spectrum, they launched it in the Twin Cities on September 22nd, 1982, and so that was second. Actually, the the Chicago one, which is WFBN, went on the air first. So they didn't make much money, but people do remember. But it was very similar to on TV. They had programming in the evening, and then they had adult programming overnight. They also did that on Spectrum, but didn't last very long. So Spectrum went out of business in 1984 in February. And while so WFBN was planning to be a syndicated TV station, and just like WGN and WFLD, which is Channel 9, Channel 32, and Channel 44 at the time, which is WSNS, uh, they went to Spanish language station in the mid 80s. So during 1984, uh, they just broadcasted music videos, which at the time was very popular, because of it, when MTV launched in August of 1981, that took off. It was very popular. And I will talk about MTV, the early days, and on its 40th anniversary in August, which would be kind of quite fun. And so during the summer of 1984, they just aired music videos, and it was called Music 66. Also on WPW, they had a video show, Music Video 60. So they had that too, and I watched it. They aired it in the morning, and they most said in the afternoon and night. But this one on WFBN, they aired it 24 hours a day, and I happened to find a someone recorded a portion of that, and Rick Klein, who owns Fuzzy Memories TV, or Fuzzy TV Memories, keeps forgetting that he posted that on his page on Facebook, and I watched it. It was fun watching that, but there was no. Then it was commercial free, only if they had a station break, or they show on the bottom of the screen the identification of the TV station, which was cool. And it was fun to watch. I remember watching that, and they had some video. They played some videos, very popular videos in the '80s, like Duran Duran, Tina Turner, Hall and Oates, Billy Idol. But they also aired videos that were very not familiar with everybody, very obscure ones, which is interesting. Okay, and after that, so Spectrum just went bye bye, and some people still remember it to this day. Like I mentioned before, hopefully I can find a unscrambler box and a program guide. I would love that on my Facebook page. That'd be really nice and cool. Okay, then Channel 66 started airing reruns and old movies, and it wasn't much of a fanfare. They didn't advertise much. So I do remember some of the reruns that aired. They aired Green Acres, The Avengers, maybe Mayberry RFD. But let's see what else. I can't think of any. There was Mary Tyler Moore show, Maude. All in the Family came later, so I'll get into that in a second. And then they changed the call letters from WFBN to WGBO, and it was and that took effect January 4th, 1986, and adopted Super 66 for their air branding. And I remember the commercials. And one of the television shows that they promote heavily was the primetime soap opera Dallas. And I remember seeing the commercials, and they did some advertising for White Hen with that. And I remember I worked downtown at the time. I worked at City Hall, and I remember the advertisements on the buses on the side of the CTA buses. And I remember the slogan that said, "Get your daily dose of Dallas on WGBO TV Channel 66, your Super 66 station." So yeah, so that was I like this station. It reminded me of when Channel 44 aired all these wonderful reruns. I talked about that in previous podcast episodes. You know, I still miss that kind of. It was quaint and not fancy like today. But Super 66 it stayed on the air for quite a while. They also had daily simulcast CNN headline news. Also, they had college basketball games from Loyola, which was cool. And so that went on for about 5 or 6 years, and then so then Univision came, and then it bought WGBO, and the regular program got dropped, and now it's I think Telemundo. Did I mention that? I think I did. Univision, excuse me. Yeah, it was Univision, and to this day, it's still on the air. Channel 66 on WGBO airs Univision, and they've been there for a long time. So, but you know, the reception and is much better now. So I catch a couple times on Channel 6. It's all Spanish programming. I don't understand Spanish. So sometimes you see the ghosts of WG, WGBO, excuse me. So I don't know where they got where that stood for. I don't know, WGBO. I have no idea. And WFBN, I'm not sure. I think it's financial, something had to do with financial broadcasting network. I guess it's called that. I don't know. We'll see about that. Okay. So enough of my rambling. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, walking down memory lane, kind of in a clumsy way. So, and it was very interesting topics I spoke about today. So I'm glad you joined me, and hopefully you can join me next time. Hopefully I might do a podcast tomorrow morning, and it's the 4th of July. We'll see. Maybe we'll do a theme of about the Independence Day in Chicago. We'll see. I'm going to do some research. And so that'll be all for episode 36, season 2 of Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. And I will post this on my social media accounts, and also it's also on YouTube. You can catch it there. And let's see what else. Oh, and my podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Okay, so this is Pete Costanis signing off, and I hope everyone have the rest of a good weekend and enjoy yourselves. And bye bye for now. And here's Ray Rayner saying bye bye for now. Take care, everyone.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.